you guys. Watch that if you can. It was really, really good. And so he did it a couple weeks ago, and it was so popular that he's actually running the same class a couple weeks in a row. So he actually has it next Wednesday as well, same time. So if you can't make it next week, see if you can catch it, or this week, catch it next week. But it's the same class. It's not a follow-up. It's a repeat, but he's doing it live.
So can you click on it so we can see how to get in it?
Yeah, sure. It's, can you see it right here in front of me?
You got to click on it so you can know which class it's in. You know?
So it's in the EXP University Icon Theater.
University.
So your computer's going right back to its old familiar self. Apparently, if you open that up, Eric, we don't see it.
We don't see it.
Oh, well, that's annoying.
Yeah. So say where it was again.
It's in the EXP University Icon Theater. But if you pull it up, the schedule on EXP Cloud, it's at 11 o'clock our time tomorrow, called Digital Lifestyle Farming.
Oh, there it is.
So obviously he's obviously a 2 or 3 time Icon agent with EXP. And I think that's one of the funnest things about EXP is the collaboration. Is you've got, he's a top agent in his area, and he's sharing all of his secrets. And he says right at the beginning, I'm not holding anything back. This is exactly what I do, how I do it. And anybody can do this, no matter how small their SOI is. I was like, yep, I'll tune into that. Show me what you got. And it was definitely worth it. So
love it.
Am I confused, or does that say February 3rd?
Does it say? That one's February 3rd, but there is one tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he just was.
Oh, there we go.
January 27th, tomorrow. Yep.
I had a question and it came and went. Dang it.
Shoot, they'll come back.
Hopefully.
Probably had not fishing because when he posted it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
So also there was a class yesterday that I attended that is really, really exciting as well. EXP is always adding more and more things that help us in our business. We've had a lot of agents have success with adding OpCity to what we do, lead generation, using the KV Core and the property boost. Just yesterday, there was a first introduction class to, let's see, can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a relocation and an REO division that EXP is launching right now. And if you guys aren't familiar with kind of how relocation companies work, large companies pay a lot of money to transfer their employees throughout the world, not just in the United States. And it was incredible, some of the numbers that she was bringing up. Her name is Dawn. I'm not sure how to say her last name, but she's the director of special projects at EXP, and she has a tremendous amount of experience in relocation. And that's why she was brought into this position. So EXP is launching a complete relocation division, and there's going to be one contact point for all of EXP. And they are going to be divvying out relocation referrals to agents all over the country. And some of the numbers that she was mentioning were just incredible. Like, some companies will spend up to $1 million to transfer one of their employees to another location for a 3-year period. Like, it's very expensive. And she said most of their clients are high-end clients, because if they're being transferred to another location, usually they're $700, $800, $900 million homes that are being transferred, because they're not like $300,000 properties. So This is something that's just launching. You see, so yesterday when I joined this group, there were 93 members. Now there's 503. So it's brand new. I've been talking to Dawn just about the certification, because there's 4 classes for certification, and they're every Tuesday at 2:30 Eastern, which is a direct conflict with what our class schedule is on Tuesday. So I'm going to be recording these classes, and depending on the interest, I might just have all 4 classes run on Tuesday night for the next 4 weeks and copy that link and then re-air it on our class, depending on if everybody's interested in it. But it's an I think it's a fantastic opportunity to have some really good referral leads, and I think our team should be at the forefront of it, because we're getting in right at the beginning. So get your certification done, and get on the team and learn how to do it. So the process. Can you see this screenshot, Jeff, that I just pulled up?
Yeah. Yep. It just switched.
Okay. So this is the certification over the next 4 weeks. Relocation, the 101, the overview, marketing, the destination services that they use, how to find the inventory properties that are attractive to each client. And she said that when they get a referral, it's incredibly important that you spend a right amount of time to find out what's most important to that client, which is true of any client, right? But it's, they may be there for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It may be a permanent move. They may want to be close to where they're working, or they might want to have the most important thing to them is schools. So they have a checklist of how to find out what's most important to that client, and they send it over to you so you can cater your searches based on that specific client. And in the certification, they're going to teach you how to do the broker market analysis, which is a BMA, and then also a BPO, which is a broker price opinion. And that's what they use instead of CMAs or an appraisal when they're looking at properties. They have, and they're also global as well. So they go all over the place. And when you put together the CMA from their package, it looks like an appraisal. And she actually said it takes about 2 hours to put this entire BPO together that you send back to the company so they know what they're pricing on and what house that they're purchasing. So
Eric, you got to do one of those BPOs before they even put in an offer?
So when you have the property under contract, you're sending over that whole BPO is how I understand it. Yeah. She says it does take a little bit longer time. It's not just a simple CMA, but they are higher end houses, and they're not working with any other agents. And obviously you have them on the buy side or the sell side, depending on where they're transferring from. And last week we talked about what's going on in Utah and how so many people are moving into Utah from other places. And she mentioned that, a few years ago, it increased a lot. It was a lot more relocation there is now, but because of COVID, it slowed down. But what she's seeing is there's a massive backlog of companies that have been wanting to transfer people that haven't. So it's going to be a huge spike in transfers over the next 6 to 12 months. And it's a really fantastic opportunity with EXP. And she did not mention the companies that were being associated with, the relocation companies, but she said 2 of the top 4 are already on board, and the other 2 have already reached out to EXP wanting to be a part of our network.
Wow.
And she said the reason that EXP is so attractive to them is because we are one brokerage model across all of the world. We don't have separate market centers. We don't have separate systems and caps and all that confusing stuff. So, and our network is so tight with workplace and everyone works together that she says that we really believe that EXP will be the company that relocation services and businesses go to for relocation servicing. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be really, you know, and I don't know if it's going to start. I mean, it's going to take a month to get certified based on those 4 weeks. And maybe it's something that we're going to get leads in a couple months. Maybe it'll be 6 months. I don't know when it's really going to start, you know, funneling in a big way, but we can have some nice transactions if we're right at the forefront of it.
What referral fee goes back to the relo company?
She didn't even mention that yet.
Didn't mention it.
So,
Well, I know that these companies do control the transaction because I've had personal friends that have government jobs that they don't have a choice in using the personal realtor if they're going to get reimbursed. They have to use the company's chosen real estate agent.
yeah, interesting that you mentioned that, because one thing that she mentioned too is your buyer or seller never sign anything. It's all the relocation company. They handle everything. And yeah, they use you, not some other agent. So it really locks up that client when it's assigned to you. So it's just really important that you do a really, you know, good job. And she said one of the most important things is that you are pricing the homes correctly, especially on the purchase side, because they're probably going to transfer out in 2 or 3 years. So if you price the house correctly and you get into them in the right home, you'll probably get the listing side on the way out. And if you know, we can't control markets, obviously. We don't know what the market's going to be like in 3 years. But if the market is steady or has a slight increase and they end up losing $100,000 when they have to sell that house, then it reflects poorly on us as a relocation specialist. So, but then she said, don't worry about that, because we teach you how to do them. We teach you how to do all the BPOs and training on that. So one thing that I took away from it too was, if nothing else, you're going to learn how international, and across the United States, how big relocation companies price homes in your area. So it's going to teach you really better how to do CMAs on your current clients as well. And it'll be just a really good education piece with a nice potential for some good referrals.
So Eric, on those classes, you said that you were going to record them and we could possibly watch those, but how do they monitor completion of course for certification?
So that's exactly what I'm talking to her about.
Oh, gotcha.
I explained that, you and I have classes scheduled all the way out through March with our speakers scheduled. So we're not going to change our scheduling. And I really want our team to have, that certification and not fall behind on it. So I'm working that out with her right now to see how we do that. So we might have to do it in a setting like tonight, and I can take, screenshots of everyone that's attending and with their EXP email address, so we get credit for it.
Cool.
So
doing that for us, man. This sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's another arrow in the quiver, right? And it's additional education, and it's interesting because I mentioned, when was it? I guess it was Freedom Friday. We talked about Glenn being on Clubhouse and talking about some of the new software that they're working on, because we're so excited about what EXP is releasing. We don't know what they're working on in the background, because they're a technology company that's always working on things. I mean, last week we learned that they're working on a software that will take your REPC and all of your paperwork, and you just scan it in and upload it, and SkySlope or whatever transaction software that they might be using to replace it, I don't know, he didn't go into details, will actually read that entire contract and fill out all of SkySlope for you. So you just scan it in and hit submit to broker, and the broker reviews it because the software does all the work. Save you a lot of time. So just, things like that EXP is working on. And it seems like every week we hear about something new and something exciting. And this one really, really excites me as well, because it's an opportunity for us not only to learn, another division, but it helps. It helps us all close more business. We can get referrals out of it, and not what we're here to talk about tonight, but it's good probably for agent attraction too. To be one of the top relocation companies, probably in the world in a short amount of time. And if anybody's paying attention to what EXP is doing the last year, it wouldn't surprise me if they were the biggest relocation company soon, right? Because they don't mess around when it comes to being number one in a short period of time. So I will keep you posted on any of that, on any of the news on this, and how we're going to get certified for it and still be able to attend our Tuesday classes. Anybody have any thoughts or questions? I sat through the class. It's about an hour and a half. I should have recorded that class, but I kind of jumped in about 5 minutes late, and I just wanted to jump on it. So I didn't record it myself, but it was really just an introduction class. The actual training starts next week.
That's super cool. Eric, we both know an agent that his whole business is relocation, and he hasn't come over to EXP because he doesn't have an SOI. He doesn't have another lead source. He does 100% relocation for his brokerage, and he's stuck. He didn't build a plan B. So what happens if that relocation company now says, you know what, we're lifting our business from this brokerage and moving our business over to EXP? What does that do to somebody like him?
It can be really painful. Yeah. And one thing that Don said was one of the biggest points that the relocation companies love with is they have one point of contact for the entire country. And that's all the referrals go through that one point of contact. They're not looking for partners and relationships with brokers in different cities and different counties. And it's just going to be, just a lot easier for relocation companies to use EXP because of our connections and our, how we collaborate with everybody. So.
Super cool.
Does anybody had any experience with relocation companies that's on here? Let's see.
I showed a property that the people had lived in it, and it was $550,000. That was about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they had moved them out, and it was up for sale. That's it.
I don't know how many of you have heard this so many times, but man, there's so much money and cash moving in from other states, and they're moving into Utah and buying up these houses. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, that's great. I don't know any of those people. How do I capitalize on that? And this is a fantastic way to do that. And every transaction turns into potential referrals in the future, from, other, from that new client that you have in your system. So yeah. Anybody have any thoughts or questions on that? There's probably more information I could share. I just, I'm kind of going on memory since it's fresh in the last 24 hours. Well, very good. I got to tell you guys, those are the two things I wanted to kind of discuss and cover tonight. I've been on Zoom all day long, just kind of, working and helping people out. So I don't have like a formal training tonight scheduled, but I definitely wanted to hit these 2 points. So if you can catch that class tomorrow and let you know that this is on, in our near future, Oh, one other thing too is in workplace, go to, let me get rid of this screen. Can you guys see my workplace again?
Mm-hmm.
Go join this group, Relo Affinity Group or Affinity Ops, just so you get updated on it.
Already
Um,
did.
Awesome. You'll get accepted in the next day. They also have a, they didn't really talk much about this, but they also have an REO program that they're introducing as well. And I think that Dawn is going to be heading that up as well, which is it's basically lender-owned, bank-owned properties. And I don't know anything about it. She really didn't talk that much about it, but it is a bank-owned division. And right now, obviously, this is not necessarily the best market for bank-owned and HUD properties and short sales, but there's still going to be some out there. And being educated in that in the future, when the market changes a little bit, I've heard a lot of agents estimate that there's going to be more of those opportunities coming up in the near future, just because eventually we're going to stop having the mortgage extensions and the relief that's been happening, and there's going to be some people that need some help in their houses that might be short sale or even bank properties. So that's another thing that they're going to work on as well. And like I said, they really didn't talk about that much, but there's going to be a bank division as well, bank owned, which is exciting.
When I heard them announce it, Eric, they were going to run through these courses, and then immediately following the completion of these, they're rolling right into the REO courses.
Perfect. So, great education too, because even if we're not doing bank-owned very many right now, we have clients ask about them, right? Hey, how do I get a bank-owned property? And in this market, obviously, that's incredibly difficult. There's very few of them because most people have equity in their property. They're not upside down on houses. But at some point, everything changes. The market rolls. And like I said before, I can't remember what agent said it, but there's no such thing as a bad real estate market. It's either a buyer's market or a seller's market. And we have to adjust as agents, depending on what's happening in the market. So it's good to get educated in all those pieces so you understand them.
Yeah, I think the REO certification would be important more for the listing side, obviously, but what we experienced last time was the banks were flooded with inventory they didn't know what to do with. So buyers and investors looked at a bank-owned property as a deal, something they could get it as a discount. You don't think banks are discounting in this market?
No.
So it's not that type of an opportunity, but it is potential inventory. And I think we'll experience some of it just because people, get into certain situations. It won't be flooded like it was last time, but like you said, Eric, it's all good education and to know all facets of the industry because they all intertwine.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Eric and Jeff, did you guys say there is going to be a training on that? And if so, where is that at?
So the training is going to be for the relocation. It's going to be over the next 4 weeks, starting next Tuesday.
Okay, is it going to include all the like HUD bank owned properties and stuff? It's going to include all of that?
That's going to be, like Jeff said, probably starting 5 weeks from now.
They're two separate certifications. They're rolling this out first and going through because they want people to actually not choose. They want to go through the one, then we'll start the other one. And from what I heard on the announcement, they're doing this as a weekly series. So as soon as this one's done, they're going to go into the REO.
Okay, if you guys hear about that and I don't, will you let me know? Or if they don't end up doing it, can we maybe do one of those on a Tuesday night trainings? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Because I definitely want to know more about that.
I'm working on kind of how to get that certification done when they overlap, work schedules or our class schedules already. Because I know some people can't attend during the day for an hour or two.
Yeah.
So it's tough. So want to make sure that everybody has that opportunity,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, guys, a little bit shorter tonight. Like I said, I don't have specific formal training because I wanted to really go over this and make sure that you're both aware of both these, both this coming up and also the class tomorrow, if you guys can attend. I'm going to try to record tomorrow's if possible. So I have a copy of it that maybe we can post, Jeff, because it was really, really fantastic.
Which one?
I'm sorry, the class that we talked about earlier, this one, the Icon series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could, well, are they going to put these in the EXP University library recorded, or did they say?
So he didn't say, and he wasn't sure when somebody else asked. And I know the first one was 2 weeks ago and it's not there yet because I checked earlier today.
So we can put them in our workplace group. We can also create a section in our training archives on my site for that, if you want, either way or both.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
So Eric, that's awesome. Thanks for some of these things. It's hard to know about everything that EXP has going on, right? And every time you hear something or I hear something, we bring it up. It's like, oh, wow, there's just so much going on. So since that's kind of all you have, unless somebody has a deal they're working on or something that they want to talk about, I can give you just something to think about from a phone call I got from one of the agents right before the class. Anybody got something personal on their deals that they want to get some feedback on?
I did just hear back from that realtor. She said that they had 4 other or 4 cash offers. And she said that that's the only reason that we lost it. So I'm like, well, that stinks, but nothing we can do about that. But crazy market.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Along those multiple lines, for discussion here real quick, Shaw gave me a call right before the class and he's got a list, got multiple offers on him. And one of the things that his client, who's actually his brother, kind of was looking for was a lease back. And we've talked about that in trainings before, right? A short-term lease back for the seller can stay in the property up to 60 days. Well, ironically, Shaw's been in the business 15 years. He says he's never even come across it. It's never something that he's had to deal with. And his question was, can we ask them if we can lease it back and not pay rent? Because 3 of his offers included the addendum for the lease back. And of course, the buyer's the owner of the property and they're going to close on it. They're going to have interest accruing on their loan. So they want to collect some rent, right? As the landlord. And so I actually gave him an example because one of my mentees just dealt with this with a few different lease backs. And one of them came across and in their offering was the 60-day lease back, but at 0 rent. They just put 0 in the rent field in the lease back. So they had all the paperwork. Well, in other ways, they weren't the best offer. So she went to the other ones and said, hey, I've got multiple offers. I'm just calling everybody, just talking this out with you. But I like this, and this, and your timelines about your offer. But what I like about this other offer is they weren't going to charge us any rent for the lease back. Is that something your client might consider? And one of them's like, oh, I've never even heard of that before. And the other one got all excited. Ooh, let me call them. They really want this house, And so she got excited to still be in the game because they haven't made up their mind yet. So I told that to Shaw and I says, there's nothing wrong with you calling and just kind of talking out the terms of the offers and what you would like to see for your client. You don't have to lie and say, I've got a lease back like Audrey did that already offered 0 rent, but you could pose, hey, this is what would really kind of make your offer stand out against the other ones is if the lease back was lower or maybe even 0. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. But that's the beauty of a counteroffer. When you got multiple offers and it's more than your client was even asking for, that doesn't mean you can't still negotiate and you can't still counteroffer and even sweeten the deal for your client.
You know, it makes a lot of sense too, because, you know, I mean, if you were to close, I mean, for example, if you're closing February 15th, and you're getting a loan on your property, you're not going to have your first payment till April 1st anyway. So your interest is really part of your closing costs in general. So that's really a good point. It's a good idea. They're not
Well,
going to really be paying double mortgage in a way, you know,
yeah.
depending on where their closing costs are coming from.
Well, and it depends on how much they're putting down, how liquid they are anyway. Maybe they're counting on getting that back to reimburse them for some of the liquidity they're putting out to try and get the deal, right? Because it could be several $1,000s depending on the price point of the property. But definitely something to keep into mind. And it's like, nothing's off the table when it comes to negotiation when you're trying to get the best deal for your client.
Love it. That's a good thought. I've actually never thought of that either.
Cool.
Just do zero. Could be really attractive. I mean, because in reality, you're just offering a little bit more for the house in a way. Yeah. Just structuring it different.
Can't hurt to ask too, right?
No. Nope. Not in this market.
So I hadn't really even thought about it as a negotiating tactic either. When I sold a property and my client was the seller and did a lease back, he paid $5,000 in rent. And I never even thought to go back and try and sweeten the deal for him and lower that, because for the price point of the property, that was already cheap rent for him. And I thought we had a really good deal there, because the buyer was putting a huge amount down, and really the rent they asked for was just going to cover the amount he was financing. So had it been a different buyer that was financing more of the purchase price, it would have been a bigger payment to cover, right? Or interest accruing to cover. But now that's going to be standard counteroffer for me. We're going to try and get zero rent for everybody.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I just thought of too, kind of on our class earlier today, that I didn't bring up when we had my agent and friend, Aaron Clark from Edge Homes. So if you guys were there, the house that I live in right now, the lot was actually under contract for a few months. And I was shopping for a house and Erin was helping me out. And she actually told me this lot may come available in my neighborhood. Go take a look at it. And if it does, if you like it, let me know. And I'll let you know as soon as I know if something's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. I wasn't even planning on living in the subdivision I was living in. And when I went out to look at the lot, I looked at all the other houses and lots that were already built on. And I know the lot that I'm on would have sold a long time ago, because I think it's the best lot in the entire subdivision, because I have no backdoor neighbors at all. It's just mountains. Like there's nobody behind me. Sorry, Mary, to bring that up. Because I know that's the house you just offered on too, same situation. But I was super excited about it, and I know it wouldn't have been available, but because I had Aaron on my side, I was ready to, I said, yes, I want it. And it was about 2 days later, she called me and she said, in 24 hours, it's going to be available. Let's write the offer. And the minute it's available, I'll submit the offer. So I had first shot at it, and I know that it would have been gone immediately. So having Aaron on my side was a huge benefit. And the part that I didn't bring up today with Aaron on the call was, you need relationships like that with all the builders that potentially can help you. So have a relationship with someone at Edge like Aaron, have someone with Ivory. You've got someone on the line right now that's with Goff, that's Sherry. I mean, talk to those builders and say, this is my buyer. This is what we're looking for. This is our range. If anything pops up, please let me know before it becomes available, because those houses that fall through that are under contract, that can give you first shot at it before it even hits the market. I mean, my lot never hit the market at all. It just, in fact, my neighbor just a couple months ago said, what took you so long to close on that house? It was under contract forever. What was your problem? And I said, no, it wasn't me. It was under contract. It was sitting under contract forever. And I swooped in and I got it when the other party fell through. So yeah, I just didn't bring that up during the call and say, hey, call all the other builders too, not just, Aaron. But it's really important. I've got some good agents at different builders that when I know where I'm going to go. So if I have a buyer that's saying, hey, I'm looking, like this one that I put under contract last week was in Vineyard. And so I called the builders that I knew that were in Vineyard. There's not very many that are building right now. And I said, this is what I want. This is the price range. Let me know if anything comes available. And that was 2 months ago. And Erin called me up and said, we've got a new phase releasing in about a week. Here's all the plans. Here's where it sits. Here's a photo of where the different 10 units, because one building, 10 units. She said, this is the best unit out of all 10 of them. That's the one I would go for. So as soon as it happened, we put that offer in, we got the unit that we wanted. I couldn't do that. And it's not on the MLS. It never went active. It's not under contract on the MLS. It's not on there at all. So you got to get a little creative sometimes with your buyers when you know those ranges, and do some homework. And if you need help with that, reach out to us too, because, we've got a good beat on different builders and who to call. If you've got a buyer, you're just frustrated with it, you can't find something for, and new construction is part of their buy box. So.
Awesome, Eric. Hey, Nate, what were you holding up to the camera? Was it you trying to show us something?
It was a picture of his backyard with the moon rising over the hill.
Oh, how was anybody supposed to know that? No, those relationships are huge, Eric, but you know what that makes me also think of? I listened to another agent talking about getting listings and how he gets business. And this might apply to you, Mary, because you're looking for a property that doesn't exist right now, or you can't seem to get it, right? Even if he doesn't have a buyer, he watches the Facebook groups where people are saying, hey, if anybody has a 5-bedroom, 3-bath in Holiday, that's what I'm looking for. Well, he takes that as a marketing list and he'll go out to the neighborhoods where the homes exist that he knows one of his colleagues is looking for. And he will reach out to the homeowners in there and say, hey, the inventory is super low. One of my colleagues has a buyer that's looking for exactly the type of house that you live in. So if you or any of your neighbors, or you hear of anybody thinking of selling, let me know. And he runs his whole business off of that. And then if he calls that buyer back and they found something else, he's not lying. He's legitimately trying to find a product to suit that needs, but he started a dialogue with somebody. So even in your case, Mary, it's like you're looking for a home, contacting people and say, I'm personally trying to buy a property in this area. You might drum up some business that way. You might even find the house that you really want by saying, I just can't find anything. So if you know of anybody, it's a little bit more indirect than saying, if you're thinking of selling, because the way he was explaining it is he's always asking, hey, if you hear of anything, if you hear any buzz in your neighborhood about anybody selling in this subdivision, I've got somebody that really wants to be here. Sometimes they say, well, we've been kicking it around a little bit, didn't really think it was the right time, and they hadn't taken action, right? And sometimes they bring up a problem or a concern that you could address, like, well, we've been wanting to sell, but we're holding back because what are we going to go buy? We can't find any inventory. So now they got that solution, and maybe they haven't heard of what we were just talking about, like a seller lease back to give them time to shop or something. But I can't remember the number of listings he says he gets a year from doing that, but I was shocked at how high it was.
Might even be able to help them find a house too, pick up a buyer as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Go in the other direction. It's funny you mentioned that too, because just in the last 2 weeks, Jeff, I've had one of my mentees, and then also Jesse. I don't think Jesse's on the call tonight, but 2 situations where a house was going to go on the market. Everyone in the neighborhood heard they were going to hit the market, and they had people calling them saying, I want to buy your house before it goes on the market. Don't put it on the market. And in both cases, the seller was weighing Well, could I get a little bit more if I put it on the market? Probably. But in this case, I've already got a buyer. I can close it. I don't have people coming through my house. I don't have to stage it, fix it up, anything. I'm just done. And in both cases, they decided to not put it on the market and go the easy route. So there's houses that are selling that never hit the market, Mary. Yeah. So really good advice, Jeff.
Yeah, I actually talked to Jessie about that house that she had mentioned on last week's call. I'm like, hey, tell me a little bit more. But the offer they got was really good. And like, we couldn't have matched it just because I think she said it was an all cash offer. They weren't doing an inspection, like just unrealistic for a lot of buyers, but yeah.
Yep. So, yeah. Might have to do some of that extra legwork searching, huh? Yeah, a lot of the good properties don't always hit the market, for sure. A lot of new constructions don't. I know that. They don't hit the market at all.
Mary, I'm wondering if you could do a search on the MLS for non-active properties for what you're kind of looking for, to see what previous solds or even expireds, and look back. You could create a mailing list or a list of homes that fit your criteria. They're just not on the market. That might be a way for you to create a marketing list to reach out to the people that have the house you want, but it's just not available on the open market right now, and reach out to them. What this guy does, his name is, I think it's Sam Hoff. He's got a mastermind group that he does a lot of live, just kind of coaching and training. REO, Real Estate Raw Mastermind, I think is the name of it. He's got a Facebook group. Pretty authentic dude. I like some of his Facebook lives. He's now on Clubhouse like everybody else. And but he's the one that brought up that idea. And what was I just going to say about him?
Jeff, that's a really good point. Today, this is Troy. I had an agent call me on an expired listing that was several months ago, like probably like 8 months ago. A seller of mine was going to go out to Seattle, moved out there for 2 months on a company offer. Things didn't play out the way they thought. We put their home on the market. And now, of course, an agent is calling on my expired listing, begging us to consider an offer from them. So that's another approach we can certainly look at, is, what has expired in the last 2 years on the MLS in areas that we may potentially have buyers.
Right. No, good point. Mary, I remember what I was going to say about him, that he said part of his process, when we're talking about creating a marketing list like that, if you did a search, he sends them a letter. It's not a postcard, it's a letter. But, and again, this is just his experience. Everybody teaches different methods and everything. He says, but I don't get gimmicky. I don't use the bright fluorescent envelope or the birthday card size envelope. It's just a letter. I'm just sending them a letter, and it's hand addressed to them. They're going to open and look at it. And it's just like a one-page little letter, succinctly getting to the point that the inventory is low, looking for a house like yours in the market. If you or anybody you know is thinking of selling, please reach back out to me. I'd like to have a conversation.
Hey, Troy, that's a really good point too. It made me think of something else. One thing too, Mary, is you could look at in areas and price ranges of where you're looking, is to look up some expired listings that didn't sell maybe a year or two ago, and reach out to them and see if they're in the market to sell at this point, and that you're interested.
Troy, did you approach your client that expired? Still there, Troy?
The client, the agent called tonight.
Oh, so it just happened. Well, I'd just be interested in an update if you actually tell him that somebody's interested in his house and he says, you know what, I just might sell. And now it becomes a new listing for you again.
Yeah, he'd be in line at a $50,000 increase for sure.
Yeah. Lynn, if you're trying to talk, we can't hear you.
Why does that always happen to me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now.
I'm okay. So I'm going out to Saratoga Springs to show a house, believe it or not. But anyway, I was just saying that I got a letter yesterday. I think it was from a young couple. She said she's a real estate agent. Her husband's in construction. They were actually sending it on our cabin, and we're just saying how they would really love to buy some more real estate in Cache County. And so it just went along with the letter idea that you're talking about. It was just a regular letter. It looked like she hand wrote it. You know, she really just made a bunch of copies, but I thought it was really cute. It's an idea.
Gotta hustle, especially in this market.
No question. Thanks, Lynn.
Don't
Thanks,
sell.
Go get it done.
That's really funny. I'm driving all over the place. So this house is way overpriced. We know it's way overpriced. I talked to the agent on it, and my people are just so desperate that they're willing to pay overpriced. So I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, drive careful.
Well, thanks everybody for jumping on. I know Jeff's got an 8 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it's good to see you guys all. We'll keep you updated on the news from earlier. So, and jump on that class tomorrow 11 if you can. It's
Thanks,
worth it.
guys.
It's really good.
Yep, I'm gonna watch that one for sure.
Good ideas.
And I appreciate you, Eric, going out of your way to try and work something out. That can be difficult. I ran into that with the express offers certification.
I know.
Same thing. They do them like at noon on a Tuesday. Can't come. So awesome. Appreciate you, man. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a good one.
guys.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you.